That feels good. Take that right out. But depending on the angle, there it is, baby. Yeah! We just ignored that completely. Rise up, Rinbreakers. Whether you're here to slay, cap, craft, or cart, we've got you covered with today's tips. Switchaxe's Zero Sum Discharge is back and still available in Monster Hunter Wilds, and we're going to go over a couple of myths in the beta where people discuss whether or not you can hit it, can't hit it, certain parts, not certain parts, and whether to use it over Unbridled Slash. So without further ado, let's jump into it. If you haven't played Switchaxe before, you're basically going to be handling a couple of gauges while going through your attacks, morphing between axe and sword mode. Your axe mode is going to have this gauge that will passively fill over time while your weapon is sheathed or while landing attacks in axe, and when you're in sword mode, you'll be filling up a gauge on the bottom right of your gauge bar as you land attacks, which you can go into the amped state and execute your Zero Sum Discharge or your charged Unbridled Slash. You'll also be able to fill this up by using your focus slashes. If you land an attack on a wounded spot, you will go into a series of wild strikes which you can execute in either axe mode to fill the axe gauge or sword mode to fill the sword gauge. You'll also do a different finisher depending on which mode you morph into by the end. Now once your amp gauge is filled up, you'll be going into the amp state. While in the amp state, you can press triangle and circle at the same time, and that will go into an elemental discharge. If you connect on a body part and you're close enough, you will latch onto the monster and execute your Zero Sum Discharge. It may seem finicky at first, you may notice that there's some spacing issues, you may be a little far away from the monster. Just play around with it, you'll get it, you'll latch on, and you'll be fine. As we're learning more information about Wilds and we see other players' footage from the beta, we're going to be able to fact check a lot of information. There might be some misinformation going around, it's not anybody's fault. It's just going to be a lot of experiences that we learned while playing the beta ourselves or from hearing from friends or seeing clips. One of the myths that went around is that you can't latch on to the monsters anymore with your Zero Sum Discharge, or only certain monsters can be latched onto, or that you can only attach to certain parts. I'm here to show you that that's not the case, and we were able to latch onto any part of any monster that we hunted. It just required proper positioning. Now, there's something really important to note here in that Zero Sum Discharge is going to reel you back off the monster and send you flying while you land and get back up, and you're not going to have your follow-up axe attack that you would have in the new charged Unbridled Slash that you can see here. After executing a charged Unbridled Slash, you're going to be able to follow up with an axe attack that's going to give you 30% of your gauge back. This is exceptional and will keep you going back into sword state so that you can basically spam your Unbridled Slashes, or really whatever you want to do. Whether it's the sword counter because of an incoming attack and you want to get those quick frames, or maybe you just want to play an axe a little and you want to get an offset slash, or just flow your combat and not have to worry about filling your gauge back up. This is going to do that for you. Now when you Zero Sum Discharge, you're going to get sent flying off the monster and you're going to be unable to do that follow-up axe attack that will give you that gauge. So you may not want to use ZSD in certain moments where Unbridled Slash would be better. However, Zero Sum has a wonderful interaction in Monster Hunter Wilds where if you attach to the monster and it executes an attack, you're not going to be sent flying back like you can see here in Monster Hunter World. The Palumo just wasn't having any of it and sent me flying off. And if we take a look at Monster Hunter Wilds, you're going to notice that Doshaguma is attacking us with its left arm, and we do take damage while we're latched on, but we still execute our attack. So we have an innate Rocksteady Mantle while we're attached with the Zero Sum Discharge. This is an exceptional tool, and you'll be able to use this to get around supers, like maybe Reidao's Railgun, where you can attach and it will blast and you'll still be safe. Or maybe you can't get the Unbridled Slash because it's going to be jumping around a lot, so you want to make sure that you're latched onto the monster or it's leaving the area.
Goodbye, guys! Goodbye, guys!
Have a nice trip.
Normally it kicks you off in other games, right? That was so funny.
Another benefit is, while you're in an Unbridled Slash, you're going to be swinging wildly, and you may hit zones that have reduced damage, where a ZSD is targeted on a single space, and you're going to be hitting every hit on that location, so you'll be able to get the big chunky damage. So what does this mean for Wilds? Honestly, I think ZSD is probably going to be used a little bit more defensively, or if you really need to interrupt a certain attack, or you know that it's going to stagger the monster, that's probably a good time to use it. I'm likely going to be leaning more towards these unbridled slashes, unless of course you're getting a sleep and you can activate your ZSD to get the finisher on the last hit for the wake up, which may be difficult. In the beta, we were still able to attack the monster as it was laying down to go to sleep, and then it woke up afterwards. I'm not sure if this is just because things aren't finished yet for the full release, or if this is really how the game will work, but if it is, that's going to be awesome, because it would be really cool to do landing wake-up calls while being able to empower maybe the minor hit on a True Charge Slash with Greatsword, or getting your ZSD finisher on Switchaxe, or so many other interactions. That's it for ZSD today. Hopefully you like this breakdown on Zero Sum Discharge. If you're somebody who likes to spam the attack, fret not, because you'll still be able to do this. However, you may find yourself having to do a few more axe swings in between to make sure you keep your gauge up, and you may even find yourself doing regular elemental discharges so that you can swing into the unbridled slash. Because if you don't attach to the monster and you go in with a regular elemental discharge and you charge that up, you can charge your unbridled slash afterwards for some massive damage. It's really good, really cool, really fun, and I hope you enjoy it. Anyway, that's all for me. I'll catch you next time. Happy hunting.
Oh, you want to do that to me? I'll do that to you. See ya! Wouldn't want to be ya! Oh, you have a weak spot. Dude, that actually sucks. Throw them, throw them, throw them, throw them, throw them, throw them, throw them!